All right, welcome back to the Sports Renegades here on sports-chicago.com. I'm Ryan Stuprich.
And I'm Ryan Risky.
We were talking about the Bears as we were talking about just sort of the how upsetting they've been this season, really. After they went on a little bit of a win streak, they beat some good teams. Their 3 wins are all against some pretty quality teams.
How did the Steelers lose to the Bears?
I know.
Not only did they lose to the Bears, Mike Glennon started at quarterback.
Exactly. And, you know, they ended up getting blown out by Tampa Bay, which was kind of surprising, too. Not necessarily when you have Mike Glennon starting in that game, too, but it's just...
they almost beat Atlanta in week 1. I mean, if
Jordan Howard didn't fumble that, or if he didn't drop that pass, he probably would have been in for the game-winning touchdown.
Or if, Glennon throws the touchdown on 4th and goal.
Right. Exactly. So there was a lot in that game.
Yeah, I mean, they've looked good against besides Philadelphia, they've looked good against some good teams. I mean, in the Saints game should have gone much differently than it did if the Zach Miller touchdown counted.
Which it was a touchdown. I don't know how you can not say it wasn't a touchdown.
And then the Green Bay game, even though they were without Aaron Rodgers, it's like
they should have won that game.
Well, I mean, there was a lot that went into that loss, and I think it all starts with that John Fox challenge.
Oh, yeah. Well, that's where it's... I mean, that's a fireable offense right there.
See, that's the thing, like when him saying, we didn't know that was a rule, or we didn't consider that.
Well, you should know all the rules, John.
Bill Belichick has memorized the entire rule book, word for word, page for page, and it's like, and if you know about that rule, that's something you need to take into consideration. I thought it looked pretty obvious when you look at it again. It's pretty obvious that Benny Cunningham did not have the ball.
Right. It was fumbling. Now, it did kind of look like he was out of bounds. So
right. I mean, now is the rule stupid?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, the rule is stupid, but under the rule guidelines, that's technically the right call. The Zach Miller thing in New Orleans was just completely botched, but I mean, it's just it's ridiculous. And the guy broke his leg, almost lost his leg, and you're not going to give him the touchdown? At
the time they don't know that he's going to lose his leg.
I know,
except he caught the ball. I mean, it was a touchdown. I don't know why.
I know. That was Calvin Johnson and Des Bryant-esque. The way that call was just completely botched. It was crazy. But talking about the Bears this week, they're it looks like they're getting some people back. But they're also without Trey McBride, which is just another thing in the cycle of
Is that a
can't
big
control
loss,
the team.
though?
No, but it shows that they can't control the team when you have a big shouting match next to the media room in Hallis Hall.
And then John Fox starts complaining about how close the locker room is to the media room.
Yeah, how about you control your team and not have them, yell in private if you're going to do something?
Well, hey, at least under
I don't even know what they're shouting about.
Here's the thing. If it was under Mark Trestman, he probably would have said something along the lines of, I don't hear anything. Nobody got into a fight.
Yeah. There was that thing a few years ago where he's like, I had never heard that, or blah, blah, blah. Yeah, okay.
And then you hear that every time there's a little scuffle, he'd turn his head and look away and pretend like he didn't see it. I mean, there was no leadership there. I mean, anyways, and obviously that's going to be something that their next head coach is going to have to fix, whether they bring in someone new next year or they let Fox stay to finish out his contract and then bring in someone else. If you're going to let Fox stay, I would, you got to set some guidelines. Be like, goodbye Dowell, and you're going to say you're going to bring in who you think is going to be the best fit for the offensive coordinator position, and you're going to tell him he's running the whole offense. He's going to call the plays. He's going to come up with the schemes, use his own playbook, and they're going to take the training wheels off of Trubisky and just let him fly, let him develop, because this is not. I mean, he's developing, except it could be going at a quicker pace if you would just let him make plays that he can make and that he has shown that he can make.
Yeah, I think a lot of people talked about his footing on the field. He needs to have a better sense of of having his feet set before he throws the ball.
Shouldn't Dow Loggins have done something about that?
You would think so, right? Because that's where the interceptions came from. I guess that was why. I mean, it's not necessarily the sole reason, but he threw that interception in his debut against the Vikings. He threw.
Well, that was a throw on the run, and he just said that he should not have made that throw.
He threw that bad interception against New Orleans. But I mean, he's making plays. I mean, that Detroit game, that 4th and 13 that he converted.
Unbelievable.
I don't know how he converted that. I mean, that's,
that was Aaron Rodgers'
star quarterback quality play right there.
See, and I think Trubisky is going to be the real deal, and I think a lot of people think that he's going to be the franchise quarterback they've never had. And, now they just got to get talent around him. Their guard, on the offensive line, their guards are good. Their center is good. Their tackles are rated as 2 of the worst in the pass blocking. So that's a problem.
Yeah, I mean, there's no turning back now.
Right, Jordan Howard and Tariq Cohen look like a formidable duo at running back. Now you need to get receivers.
Yeah, and that's going to be really important. And hopefully they get a top 3 pick and they can draft somebody who does that.
I think it's looking like they'll have something in between the 6 and the 9. And I kind of came up with a kind of a small plan I think could work. I mean, obviously there's a lot of things there's, a lot of asterisks to whether certain guys are available or not. And I was thinking the top 2 receiver, big-bodied receivers that'll be available in free agency next year are Martavis Bryant and Allen Robinson.
Okay, yeah.
So, I mean, maybe try to sign one of those 2. Inman looks like he could be a 3 or a 4. And then, you're going to have Kevin White back, and really you have nothing to lose by I know, except, like, at this point, maybe if he comes in as the 3 or the 4, there'll be less pressure on him, and he'll be able to develop and hopefully stay healthy. And then, obviously, in the draft, the one guy, if he declares to the draft, the guy that I want is Calvin Ridley from Alabama.
Sure.
He's a fast receiver, and he has an unreal catch radius. And right now, the Bears wide receivers have no catch radius.
Yeah, I mean, that is true. And there's a lot of good teams in college football this year. I mean, we can talk about that later, too, the college football playoff. I mean, there's a lot of good teams, and, therefore, that there's a lot of good players. And, yes, Alabama has a lot of good receivers. Auburn has a decent team. There's going to be a lot of people.
Right, and the wide receivers that have come from Alabama are producing in the NFL. Amari Cooper, Julio Jones. Those are 2 good receivers. And when Cooper graduated, Ridley was the guy that they're going to be like, okay, this is going to be our number 1 guy, and he looks like he could be just as good as those guys.
Yeah, there's a lot of good receivers on that Miami team, too. I would definitely take a look at that as well. There's a lot of good players.
Right, and I know a lot of people.
things to choose.
And the one thing I don't get is why people are calling for Ryan Pace to be fired. And they say, all he does is miss on his free agent signings, and then they bring up the Glennon signing.
Yeah, you have to wait a couple years.
Well,
if you're going to do that, because
people are like, oh, why should we trust Ryan Pace? He thought Mike Glennon would be good. Why should we trust him on Trubisky? And my thought is
Trubisky's already better than Mike Glennon.
Well, there's that, and my thought is. Before he signed Mike Glennon, he knew that he wanted to draft Trubisky. And he didn't want anybody to know that that was his plan.
Right.
And he knew he needed to get another quarterback that he could be like, hey, this is our starting quarterback, to try to divert attention. Like, oh, maybe are the Bears going to take a defensive lineman? Will they trade down? Because if they had kept Cutler, you'd be like, why are you doing this? And there was really no other option out there besides Glenn, where you could be like, okay, this is our starting quarterback. We're going to give him a chance. And the thing is, the way that they did it, after they signed Glennon, nobody really thought that they would take a quarterback. I know some people thought they might try to trade for Jimmy Garoppolo. That didn't happen. And it did really diverted the attention away, which was what Ryan Pace wanted to do. Because he didn't want anybody to know how much they loved Trubisky.
Yeah.
And they made sure that they got him. And he's made some really good draft picks. Adrian Amos is graded out as one of the best safeties in the NFL this year, according to Pro Football Focus. Eddie Jackson looks like a home run pick in the 4th round. Tariq Cohen in the 5th round, a pass-catching back. Maybe their version of Darren Sproles. You got Trubisky. And then obviously free agency, Akeem Hicks has been a golden signing. He's been one of the best defensive linemen. Pernell McPhee has been a good signing. I mean, when he's been healthy, he's produced. Same with Danny Trevathan. So, I mean, it's like you're going to make some bad signings in free agency. That's just how it is.
Right.
You're going to overpay guys. And, that's just how it goes. And he drafted Jordan Howard in the 5th round. He got one of the best running backs in the NFL in the 5th round.
Right. I think he was second in yards to Ezekiel Elliott last year, and it looks like he's going to be right up there. Not only
was he second in yards to Ezekiel Elliott, he didn't play the first 4 games of the season.
That's when they still thought Jeremy Langford could be a thing. Yeah. So that wasn't good, but
and I think Ryan Pace is, it's not like Gar Forman and John Paxson where you just assume whatever move they make is going to be bad and that the guys that they get aren't going to be good.
Right.
It's like with Ryan Pace, I think he's earned the benefit of the doubt that if he's going to make a move, you trust him. Maybe now let's say this was his first draft with the Bears and he drafted Trubisky. Maybe then it's like, okay, we need to see some more drafts, see some more moves that he makes before determining. Except he's made some good signings. He's found some franchise players. And I think you just have to believe in Ryan Pace and hope, and it's going to be on him to find some targets for Trubisky to throw to. And Adam Shaheen looks like he could be a really quality NFL tight end.
Yeah, I mean, it's just for people that are calling for his head, I mean, he's been in.
Why?
He hasn't been in charge long enough for you to make a determination like that.
And the thing is, he's drafted more quality players than Phil Emery or Jerry Angelo did in just a short 3-year span.
Right.
I mean, Phil Emery was drafting one good guy every year. He got Long, he got Jeffrey, and Kyle Fuller. That's it.
Right.
You can't have one good guy in each draft. Last year, Ryan Pace, really looks like, you got Trubisky, Adam Shaheen, Tariq Cohen, and Eddie Jackson. That is 4 players right there that I see as being key components of the future of this team.
Yeah, when the Bears are good, those players, should be, a big part of it, obviously. And, if there's going to be any changes, it's going to have to be from the coaching staff. It's definitely not time to be talking about firing Ryan Pace when he hasn't really done anything wrong necessarily yet.
Right, and with Trubisky's the real deal, which it really looks like he will be, there you've got your franchise quarterback that this team is desperately needed. And then if you go back to last year, Leonard Floyd, Cody Whitehair, and Jordan Howard. That's 3 draft picks right there that are really good. The guys that'll be with the team for a long time.
Yeah, and I mean, also it comes down to the players have to get healthy.
And maybe there's
been a lot of injuries.
Right, maybe the new head coach will bring in a new, strength and conditioning staff, a new training staff.
Something's up because Kevin White gets hurt every year, and all those other players keep getting hurt.
Here's the thing with White. It's not like it's been like weird injuries, like it hasn't been like, oh man, I hope he's not injured. It's just more of a play happens and then it's like, why is he going to the locker room? Like literally this year, he made a catch and then got pushed out of bounds, and then it turns out he broke his collarbone. His rookie year, some fluke thing in practice, in the rookie workouts. Fractures his shin, out for the season. Last year, made a catch, got tackled, didn't look bad or anything. Wasn't like a big hit, just a regular tackle. Breaks his leg, out for the season.
Right.
So, obviously, they'll probably need to get some, a new curriculum in there, new philosophy from a new training staff, how to get these guys healthy, keep them healthy throughout the season. So we'll see. We've got a few more weeks left. We'll see how, obviously it's going to be fun to watch Mitch Trubisky play and grow, and it should be a fun game against the 49ers. Their defense isn't very good, so hopefully they just let it fly.
Yeah, that would be nice to see for a change. So we'll see how it goes, and that's what we're going to talk about next. We're going to give our picks for the week, as well as talking about just sort of the NFL in general. Then coming up in the next hour, we're going to be going over the Cubs and 3 moves that we think the Cubs should make this off-season
3 moves that we want / think that the Cubs should make.
Right. And it should be a pretty exciting off season, and next year's will be even more exciting.